Hello and welcome to the floor of my kids' playroom. I'm going to talk to you about naming salts. So when metals react with acids, the products that you get. Now it's really important that you know the three main acids that you use in at GCSE. They are sulfuric acid. The formula for that is H2SO4. Hydrochloric acid, HCl. And nitric acid, HNO3. Okay, just as a quick sort of side note, they're all acids because they all contain hydrogen ions. So when we're naming acids, well, when a metal reacts with acid, you have the general equation. Metal plus acid gives us salt plus hydrogen. And the aim of this little video is for you to be able to name the salt that is produced in a reaction. Now, different acids produce different types of salts, and you might want to write these down. So sulfuric acid, it produces what we call sulfate salts. And you might have made copper sulfate at key stage 3, which are the blue crystals. Hydrochloric acid, when you react it with metals, the salts it produces is what we call a chloride salt. So for example, sodium chloride, that can be made by reacting sodium and hydrochloric acid. We'll use that one as an example in a minute. And if you use nitric acid, you get nitrate salts. So these are the salts, or the type of salt, that's an L, the type of salt that is produced. So this is the general equation you need to know. Metal plus acid gives you salt plus hydrogen. So if we do some examples, we'll do the sodium example. So sodium, if I react sodium metal, which is highly reactive as we looked at when we looked at the group 1 metals, if I react it with sulfuric acid, you get two things produced. You get hydrogen and you get the salt. Now, naming the salt's really important. Now, the salt you would get here would be called sodium sulfate. So it's a sulfate because you used sulfuric acid. Sulfate, sulfuric acid. And you have sodium, it's sodium sulfate because sodium's the metal that you used. So when you're naming the acid, you basically have, I'll write here. So naming the acid, see that? Okay, so naming the acid, you have the metal used and then the acid bit. So there's our first example. So if I use sodium again as an example, so sodium plus hydrochloric acid so that's going to give us sodium chloride, which is common or garden table salt to you, and hydrogen. Now if I was to react sodium with nitric acid, what do you think the name of the salt will be? Remember, you have metal and then the salt bit. So if I'm going to use nitric acid this time, nitric acid, what would the salt be called? So the metal we used is sodium. And because I used nitric acid this time, I get nitrate. So it's sodium nitrate plus hydrogen again. Hopefully that's going to help you with the mastery questions which I have set. Any questions, drop me a line. Thanks.